right. We are here. We are live. We are back. We are on the internet. What's good, everybody? How y'all doing out there? We know it's late night on a Saturday night, but you all are at home. You ain't got nothing else to do anyways, so cut us on, sit back, relax. We're about to get into some heavy Jordan talk. We have a basketball historian with us right now. This guy he loves the Bulls. He studies the Bulls. He studies all sports, but this guy specifically a maestro, a wizard, an Einstein, and know-it-all when it comes to the Bulls. So I'm very interested to hear this guy's perspective. We have a lot of good arguments on Twitter. A lot of funny jokes always being spread, a lot of good times. Also, we can talk about the Bulls changing regimes. That's going to be amazing to actually discuss because, you know, we talk about it with Scott, but talking about it with Scott is different from talking about it with a normal human being because he bleeds red. Like when they say see red, he bleeds red. Like we bleed red,
Scott
but he
goes through it.
Yeah. We bleed red, but he bleeds red and he bleeds, you know that blue and orange like the Bears do. But anyways. Jack, welcome. We have a special guest, Jack. You can find him on Twitter at ReadJack. You can also find him on his site as well, where he posts his own writings. Go ahead, Jack. Talk to the people, let them know who you are and where they can find you at and what's up.
Outstanding. Appreciate you guys having me. Jack Silverstein, ReadJack, author, historian, working on a new book on the Dynasty Bulls called Six Rings. The Bulls, the City, and the Dynasty That Changed the Game. I'm slotting that for 2021, and I am bringing readers along with my research, interviews at readjack.substack.com, weekly newsletter, actually twice a week because I send one free one once a week, and I send one for the paid subscribers also once a week. Great one recently with a Bulls ball boy from the second three-peat, Chris Mott. He was telling me about how many sticks of gum Ron Harper and Scottie Pippen liked before games. It was 2 sticks of Trident for Harp and 5 sticks of Doublemint, if I'm remembering that correctly, for Scotty.
This man, Scotty, is a goddamn animal. What you chewing that much gum for? Goddamn, Scotty. Man had 12.
I think Scotty's, he was having them throughout the game, whereas Harp's, Chris, the ball boy, had to roll down the foil and would hand it to him kind of open so that while he was working out, while he was warming up, all he had to do was take it, bite it, give him back the garbage, and then he would go. He was a guest on Oprah at that point. He became boys with Scotty. He was at Scotty and Larsa's wedding in 1997, and it's just really, really cool story. So that's the kind of thing that I'm sharing with readers.
That's amazing. I like that. That's just, Yeah, like a lot of these players, little weird habits that they have. You know, as a fan, you really don't get a chance to see those things. But when you get to see people in person, even just seeing certain guys work out before and after the game, I think that's, something that I didn't really think that much about when we first started covering the games, about how much people actually, really worked physically. Before and after the games. And I see a lot of times the Clippers, I'll see guys stretching and doing all kind of stuff before the games, and then after the games, they in the locker room lifting weights. So I think that it's pretty cool to like get to see stuff like that because you really kind of see what guys are always in the weight room, what guys are like always are the ones with the plate leaving early. You know what I mean? You really get to see people's work habits in a different way. So yeah, make sure you check it out. Pavy, what's up? How you doing tonight?
I'm chilling, bro.
You all right?
I've been up since midnight last night.
Oh, you ain't go to sleep?
Nah.
Oh. I remember those days.
Yeah, see, I went to sleep. I went to sleep at like 6 a.m.
I know.
I've been staying up pretty much around the clock, but I just can't go to sleep. It's really hard for me to go to sleep during these quarantine things. Like, I don't know why. It's just like, I have no idea.
I can go, it just ain't no point.
Yeah, it really ain't. It's like I'm just gonna wake up and I'm gonna do the same thing, which is nothing.
Ain't no point. Like it just ain't no point. But
I did 50 hours up once in college, and it included a drive from Bloomington, Indiana to Lawrence, Kansas to go visit my brother at KU. On the final stretch of I-70, I thought that a couple of overhead highway signs were Mario characters. And like I thought one was Toad, and I thought one was Mario, and I was looking, and but then I had like another.
Tell me you weren't driving doing that though.
No, that was on the drive.
Like you were driving.
I was driving. I had my CD binder. It was about this big, and you work through like whatever it is, like 12 CDs. And so I was on that, and then I had like another 12 something hours after that included a KU UCLA game, and then we drove back, and in Iowa City we blew out a tire, and the trunk of the car was packed so full that we had to unpack the entire trunk to get to the spare, and I drove from Iowa City back to Chicago, what it would have been like 35 miles an hour on a donut spare. All the way back.
That's a wild ass trip.
That's actually a movie.
Hey,
cheers.
Hey, here, cheers to you. I bought me a bottle of Douce. I'm not gonna lie, Jack. Well, never mind. I'm sure that's probably personal business, so I'm not gonna ask you that. But I was just gonna say, did you get your Trump check? See, I got my Trump check, and I was like, you know what? In honor of the scumbag that is Donald Trump, I'm definitely going to buy me a bottle that I actually want to drink. Because if I'm going to be stressed out, fuck it, I'm going to do it. So I bought me a bottle of Douce. And I won't lie.
Does it really have his name? Does it really have his name on it?
I didn't see, I didn't get an actual check. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I got that.
Got it.
You know what I mean? It just said, like, IRS or government or something like that, or tax, whatever. Like, it doesn't say his name. They say that on the actual checks, it's like a memo or something that he did whatever to personally include his name on it or whatever. But it still will forever for me be known as a Trump check. Like I don't like he could give the Americans $10,000 a month forever. It's gonna forever be known to me as a Trump check.
I mean, it's amazing how much better Tim Floyd was as a coach than Donald Trump has been as a president. I'm just reflecting on that now. We had a few good moments.
Hey, man, I think, bro, Tim Floyd was awful.
Yo, I really want to name this Donald Trump as Tim Floyd. Can we name this Donald Trump as Tim Floyd?
Both of them about, man, Tim Floyd was
I'm
bad.
crying. He called that man Tim Floyd. That man said Trump is Tim Floyd. That is hilarious.
But getting into it,
you know who Tim Floyd hired?
Who?
Gar Forman. The last man left of the Floyd era was finally fired.
Really? Crazy.
Yeah, Gar Forman came in as a scout August 1st, 1998 from Iowa State.
He rose up on some goddamn
rose up like a damn tapeworm through this
on some goddamn House of Cards shit. Going crazy. He rose up through the ranks. Look at Pat. He's like, let's stop talking about the bullshit. Let's get into it.
Jack, question for you. Obviously, Last Dance coming on tomorrow. Is there anything that you're looking forward to maybe learning or maybe seeing or looking forward to seeing highlighted about, the 98 Bulls season, which I think is probably one of the more intriguing in history, the sports history, honestly, because
100%.
I mean, I don't think you ever had a situation when like this is a dynasty and it's like it's not going to continue past this year.
Right.
Going into the year. So is there anything that, you are, like I said, either looking forward to maybe learning about or just seeing highlighted for the rest of the world?
I mean, I feel like I feel like we've seen that though.
No, you haven't.
Yes, we
not
did.
Like
we
that,
saw it with the Warriors. I think the Warriors dynasty. We knew when we knew that dynasty was in there.
No, absolutely
yes, we
not.
did.
No,
I did. Going into that year, I thought that dynasty. I feel like
they're still on the team,
they're still
bro.
on the dynasty. Yeah.
They're still on the team.
There ain't no dynasty. What you mean? They won like 12 games this year.
On the team, bro.
They have the primary players plus the head coach and management of a team that won 67 games in a championship and another team that won 73 games and lost the championship.
I think that dynasty is over, though. I think that dynasty is over. I think whatever they do in the future is a completely new era.
There's a difference between a dynasty being over of its own volition and a 10-day fire sale,
literally,
of the greatest run that we've seen since Russell Celtics, where in 10 days you go from Michael retires. They named Tim Floyd head coach. He'd been something stupid called director of basketball operations. That was a shell game. They trade Scotty. They trade Luke. They trade Steve Kerr. We went into that 97-98 season with 10 guys plus Phil on expiring deals, including Michael, Scotty, and Dennis. Phil signs his 1-year contract in 97-98. He is signed as the highest paid coach, who's just a coach, so not counting coach GM. I think maybe Riley was making more. But in terms of just a pure coach, highest paid coach, $3 million raise from the year before. And they say in announcing the deal, I just want to be clear, this will be his last year. There's nothing that's ever been like nothing that's ever been like that. And for younger fans, that is why, I mean, you probably know this by now, but that's why it was called The Last Dance. And we knew that as a term. And Phil Jackson, when he went up at Grant Park after the championship, said this was the last dance and it was a wonderful waltz. There has never been anything like the 98 Bulls in terms of a team at the absolute peak of its powers, running everything, not just in sport, but in culture. They basically have an economy built around them. They've got an entertainment engine. You've got Michael did a movie, Dennis did 2 movies, Dennis had a reality show, Bill Wennington had a burger at McDonald's.
Scotty had 3 people with signature shoes, if I'm not mistaken. Jordan had signature shoes, Scotty had signature shoes, Dennis had signature shoes.
It was the big Wennington, right?
Yep. Those signature, the Robin shoes with the zipper, those were terrible. I had them.
They were terrible, but they existed.
But they sure did. So there's nothing like this. It's not at all like the Warriors, where you had a sense that, well, maybe Durant is going to decide to leave, and if he does that, well, all right, what will they be? But they still have the stars. They still have the coach. There's no infighting, with the exception of, I think they always kind of, they treated Durant a little bit like, oh, you're not really part of the family, like you were adopted or something. And but that aside, I mean, it's a pretty tight organization, at least from what I see. You guys are in California, you maybe see something else, but it's nothing like what was going on with the Bulls, with Jerry Krause telling Phil Jackson, I don't care if you go 82-0, you're fucking
You're not coming back. It's like, you're not coming back.
I'm sick of that Zen Master shit.
Yeah, exactly. So the things I'm excited about seeing, a couple things. One, I'm very excited to see the practice footage.
Uh-huh.
We know from years of stories that Bulls practices were at a level of intensity. I can't speak to other teams, but Michael brought a great intensity to practice. I think he, in a way, liked it more than the games. Even though the games obviously are where you make your mark, that's where you win championships, but he liked the competitive edge and sort of like the non-corporate side of the game.
He liked beating his teammates' asses. That's what he liked doing. He liked punishing people. And in practice, that B squad, they used to get their ass whooped, and he enjoyed every moment. In the game, sometimes he would lose. I bet he never lost in practice. And when he did, that's probably when he punched Steve Kerr in his face.
So, yeah, exactly. Cheryl Ray Stout, the great reporter, was telling me they even had refs at time, which I did not know. So I'm excited to see that stuff. I'm excited to see the 1998 game footage on what is basically like high def camera footage, because I'm pretty sure they have better footage than what we would see on NBC, on TNT. Yeah. I watch a ton of old games. It feels new to me still, but you watch and it's like, this is old. And it's obviously all 4:3 ratio. So I'm excited to see that stuff, ground level, floor level shots, beautiful pixels, all that. I'm excited to see how comprehensive it is. I did a newsletter where I put out a list of like 6 things I would love to see in the documentary. One of them is going to be there, behind the scenes stuff of the Paris trip in October in preseason. So they went out for the McDonald's Open. It was a tournament that was held about every other year for about 12 years. and an NBA champion or a high-level NBA team would go over and participate. Yeah. And I would love to see behind-the-scenes stuff. It sounds like we're going to get some of that. There were little stories that I would love to see. There was a guy named David Vaughn. Remember David Vaughn?
Yeah.
David Vaughn was.
Remind me what he was, but I've definitely heard the name before.
David Vaughn was a forward who came over when we traded Jason Caffey. And Jason Caffey had played a lot in the 97 playoffs. He had a little run where he was starting in place. The big driving question that I have that I'm hoping is answered, but who the hell knows, is, Jerry Reinsdorf is a very loyal person. And if you think of the high number of ex-Bulls, guys who played while he owned the team, who came on board after retirement in some either coaching, broadcasting, ambassador, scout, all the way up to Pax's general manager. You can name a ton of guys. He paid Jay Williams after his motorcycle accident. He offered to pay Eddie Curry when he had
the heart condition.
He gave huge extensions to Heinrich and Gordon and Luol and Joakim Noah. And obviously he gave Michael those two huge deals. He hooked Scotty and Luke Longley and Steve Kerr up with the sign and trades. As we said, he kept Gar Forman around for 22 years. He kept Jerry Krause around for, John Paxson has been an employee of the Bulls since October of 1985. So Jerry Reinsdorf, very loyal. But the question to me is, why at that crucial moment did he choose loyalty to Jerry Krause over loyalty to Michael Jordan? Why not, when you recognize the tension there and the fact that at that point you don't really need a general manager to do a lot? I mean, you need just a little bit of like end of the bench tinkering here and there. Jerry Krause, great GM, Hall of Famer, and worthy. But you don't need someone to really do a lot of work. I mean, even if after '98, if they let Dennis go, there was talk that maybe they would bring Barkley in as a free agent. Like, that's something that's going to be coordinated by Jordan, really. It's like you don't need a GM to swing that. So the question to me, of course, is...
I didn't know that. You just told me something. I never knew that before.
Yeah, he was a free agent. The money could have worked. It could have happened. I mean, I don't think they ever got to an interview stage because by the time that was underway, the Bulls had been destroyed.
Demolished.
Right. But that's a real question. I mean, Phil, it looks like, was always going to leave. He had theories about how long teams would listen to him. He'd been talking in the mid-'90s about possibly taking a hiatus. He was recharged when Michael came back. They kept Scotty. They traded everybody else. He left the Lakers in the middle of that run, took a year off, came back. So we know that that's something... Well, I mean, he did. I mean, he left. So we know that's...
Yeah, he left.
Okay. So we know that that's something that he may have done regardless. But I just have to think that there would have been an opportunity for Jerry to call Michael into his office after the fifth run and just say, I'm going to tie my lot to you. What do you want? Like, what do you want to do here? Like, how long do you want to keep it rolling? And Michael talked about it in his press conference after the fifth title. He said, we are entitled to defend what we have built.
Question. Do you think the way the lockout happened and the fact that it dragged on so long, do you think that had anything to do with Michael's retirement?
Maybe only the timing of it, because I think he probably waited until the last moment. You couldn't do team work at that time. During a lockout, you can't be at team property or anything. So it may have, but I mean, there was pretty much a wrap. I mean, Phil packed his office before the end of the finals and then bounced on a motorcycle. And then they hired Tim Floyd as something called Director of Basketball Operations. And they kept saying, well, we're hoping to get Phil back. And if Phil comes back, then Tim Floyd will be in this management position. But if Phil doesn't come back, then Tim Floyd... That was bullshit. I mean, if you're really going to try to reach out to a person, you don't hire their replacement and say, like, oh, they're going to be in a different position. Like, why would you want to do that if you were Phil? You're right, and his agent called BS on that. So, but they went through this whole summer where it was like, well, what's really going to happen? So I don't know to what degree the timing was. Michael had cut his finger opening a cigar. You can see during the Lakers Rockets game in '99 where you got Scotty on Houston, you've got Dennis on the Lakers, Kobe, Shaq, Barkley, Hakeem. It's a pretty cool like mishmash of '90s people, Jack Nicholson, Carmen Electra. And you can see this huge bandage on Michael's finger, and Jerry Reinsdorf has said, well, Michael wouldn't even been back, etc. I don't know. We saw Michael play until he was 40, or what would be considered his age 39 season, but he turned 40 in it. Right after the 5th title, Scotty said, I think Michael probably has 5 more good years in him. And 5 years takes it to 03, the end of his Wizards time. Yeah. Michael with the Wizards, say what you will, he's the oldest player ever to score 50 points in a game. He's the oldest player ever to score 40 points in a game. He's the oldest player ever to average 20 points in a season.
Yeah.
82 games, 20 points at age 39, playing small forward. It could have worked for a little bit longer. So what I do want to see, and what I'm hoping we see, is some kind of like clear explanation as to why he chose to be loyal to Krause instead of being loyal to Jordan. You can always hire Krause back. The thing is that Michael was going to leave at some point because Michael's goal for post-retirement was ownership, and he wasn't going to get that in Chicago, so he was always going to leave at some point. He leaves, you hire Krause back if that's what you want to do. I'm hoping we get an explanation on that. I am not holding my breath, but I'm excited to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff. I mean, that's all going to be fun. But it's also part of why I'm writing my book, is because I want to see the kind of story that I want to see. I want to see, I saw the interview list. I want to see what it looked like from the perspective of Keith Booth and Rusty LaRue. What is it like? What is it like?
Rusty LaRue, a name.
Yeah. What is it like to be an NBA rookie and your first year is this?
It's this, yeah.
What is it like to be Scott Burrell, where, Scott Burrell is the only person, maybe someone else has done it since then, but at the time, he was the only person who had been drafted in the first round in 2 of the 4 American major sports. He was a NBA first-round pick and a Major League Baseball first-round pick, and his career hadn't really worked out. He comes on to the Bulls. He's going to be the Pippen stopgap while Scotty was injured and out with the surgery. What was that like? What was it like for Dickie Simpkins? What was it like for Joe Klein? Joe
Klein started games in 1998 as a center. I was watching the 98 game they played against Vancouver when Big Country gave him 31. Joe Klein started at center that day.
Wow.
And played like 24 minutes.
And it was Brian Hill, right?
Wasn't it
Brian Hill? He played
Brian
games
Reeves.
for them too. Oh yeah. No. Wasn't it
Brian
Williams?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Brian Williams.
Bison Daly.
That was the year before.
Yeah. Like but even still, with all that stuff leading up to it, it was so many random Bulls players throughout that whole dynasty. That obviously now that I go back and rewatch the games, I remember the names from when I was a kid, but I don't really remember those guys' stories. So that will be really interesting.
For me personally, just being from Chicago, like obviously the Bulls were the Bulls, and they were just such this media magnet and everything, but they were just our hometown team. Like we could just go on our local station and like watch the Bulls. You pick up the paper, like there's Bulls reporters, because they're just our hometown team. So for me, I think the dopest part about the documentary, obviously the stories would be great and learning things I didn't know, because obviously I was 6 when it all ended anyway. So I'm 28 now. I was 6. I was 6 when it ended. So it's like I know, but I don't. Like I wasn't there in real time. Like I was there, but like my stories of being there are like my grandmother yelling in the house when shit happened.
Right.
And I'll run upstairs like, yo, what happened? I'm like, oh, okay, like I guess they won. I'm like, oh, okay, but I'm like 6 years old, so it don't like it means stuff to me, but like not that much. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, moving away and living in Chicago most of my life and moving away to a different environment and seeing people who didn't revere Jordan and the Bulls the same way I did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, seeing people who weren't always fans of Michael Jordan or weren't always fans of the Bulls. I didn't know that there were people existed who didn't like Mike. Literally, like I didn't know that there were people who existed who didn't like. It never computed to me because I'm in Chicago. Like they're just so revered. Like you go to Montgomery Ward's, the jerseys all there and everything. So I think for me, one of the things that I want to see is like the interviews from people speaking about the Bulls who aren't from Chicago. And like really getting a grasp on what they really, really meant to the world. Because obviously, like I said, we know what they meant to us. Like I know what they meant to the world. Right. But same time, it's like I wasn't there in real time. Like that was just our hometown team that just happened to be the Bulls.
No, you put it so well. And one of the focuses or one of the reasons that I want to write this book is because the 90s Bulls, especially in that second three-peat, they were a global phenomenon, but they were also hyper local. There were all these different ways that you interacted with the team, and the way that you interacted with the team depended on where you lived and kind of who your family was and what your social circles were. And it speaks to a lot of what, culture and society is like in Chicago, in the suburbs. I talked to a writer last night, Trey Kirby, basketball writer, whose name on Twitter is Taco Trey Kirby, which I didn't know. It was because of Taco Joe Klein. And he grew up in Plano. And I kept asking him, I was just like, I wanted to talk to you because it's funny when you live near the city, when you live in the city or near north suburbs, if you're like on the lake, you kind of don't have a sense of the rest of the state. And I was like, what was it like to be a Bulls fan but not be in the city and not be in the near north suburbs? Like, what are those interactions? You always hear on the radio where it's like, come out to the Mundelein Jewel where Lance Briggs and Jerry Azuma will be signing autographs from 2 to 4 or whatever. And I was like, did that stuff happen in Plano? And he said, no, not really. Like, it was too far. But he talked about like this thrill of being able to drive to the game and like that whatever it was, like 40 minutes in the car as it like you built up the excitement that I'm going to the Bulls game. And so it was like a little bit less local for him. I was just thinking about like the degrees of this. There are all these Australian Bulls fans and bloggers and media, people right now on Twitter who all came up because Luke Longley was the first Australian NBA player, right? So there's this whole generation of basketball fans who are Bulls heads because of who the Bulls were and because of Luke Longley. There were just all these different ways that the
Kukoc, guy like Kukoc.
You got Kukoc. I mean, Steve Kerr grew up in Beirut. So yeah, I mean, there was a little bit more of that global international flavor to that second three-peat. And there was this sense, like you said, Pav, that like for us, it was like our hometown local team. So this idea of it being global and local simultaneously is really interesting to me.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I like that. I think that's what I'm most into. And also, I'm happy that Jordan came out and said, "Yo, it's not a documentary about me.
Right.
It's about the Bulls and everything that happened with the Bulls this season." Right. And I just happened to be Michael Jordan on the Bulls. So obviously, 25-30% of it is going to cover me by mistake just because I'm just a star.
Sure.
And any documentary, if you do about a team, the star is going to take up a sizable amount. But I'm also happy that he came out and said like, "Yo, this is a documentary about, like I said, the Bulls as a whole."
You know why I don't. You know why I don't believe that. Because if the reports are true, and obviously like I got y'all here, but also like I got both of y'all on the screen right now. But if the reports are true about the fact that Jordan, supposedly called them about this documentary, after LeBron won the ring in Cleveland, then like I mean,
allegedly the meeting was scheduled anyway. Allegedly that day the meeting was scheduled anyway, and it just took place that day and whatever.
Okay, all right.
I said that actually. I did a Marco Scola. I did his show earlier this week, and this was before this story came out today about this. But he said, like, why do you think this is coming out now? The footage has been around for so long? And I said, well, I read that it got started in 2016. We didn't yet have this other story about it was the same day as the parade, but I said it got started in 2016. I said, well, what happened in 2016? He sort of paused, and I said, well, the Warriors won 73 games, and LeBron won one of the great championships, ever in NBA history. Michael, when Wright Thompson profiled him for ESPN when he turned 50 in 2013, there's a scene he describes where he's at Michael's house. They're watching SportsCenter, and SportsCenter does a Joe Montana or Tom Brady breakdown. And Michael's watching it, and he's going, this is unbelievable. They're going to say Brady because they don't remember Montana. And they did like an online survey, and it came up 50-50, and Michael was thinking like, Joe Montana never lost a Super Bowl. Joe Montana never threw an interception in the Super Bowl. This was 2013.
No, that's facts. He never threw an interception in the Super Bowl?
That's facts.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was 2013.
That's outrageous.
Sorry, give me TB12.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, give me. Hey, look. Shout out to Joe Montana. Give me that man TB12. Any day of the week. Period.
This was 2013.
Okay.
Still, Tom Brady at this point was 3. No, I hear you, but he was at this point he was 3-2 in Super Bowls. This is before Seattle.
Okay.
So Michael's sitting there watching it, and he says something like, "God, this is just unbelievable. Like this idea that they would vote for Brady, this idea that they wouldn't remember Montana." And to me, when I read that, I was like, okay, he started to see. And so that was like the seeds. So when I heard that this was coming out, it's 20 years, 22 years, or I guess when they did it in 2016, so that'd be 18 years after they shot the footage in 1998. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense that he would start to say, okay, I want to make sure that people know the real story. And he knows it's like this stuff has got to come out at some point. Like, even though he had control over it, who knows? You die and his people decide to put it out. I mean, you never know. All bets are off. All bets are off when you're off the table. So that did not surprise me. And Michael always wanted to sort of bust the ass of like the up and comer. And one thing that he did when he was retired in 93 and 94 was that he was calling BJ Armstrong and Joe Dumars and getting scouting reports on young players. What is this kid Anthony Hardaway about? What is this kid Latrell Sprewell about? What about Jason Kidd? He had a quote to Missy Isaacson in her book Transition Game, which is great, which came out in 94. And he said something like, I've proven my point with the Drexlers and the Barkleys. If I was going to come back, I would want a shot at the Hardaways. He was talking about Penny because he was at the Hardaways and the Webbers. I'd like to teach these guys a lesson.
Because those were the new guys.
Exactly. So this just sits into that exact kind of pattern of behavior, the competitiveness and the desire to beat who's next.
I was even talking to my dad. My dad's 63. I think he's from Florida, so he moved to Chicago, I want to say maybe in like the late 70s or early 80s. Okay. Talking to my dad, and he was just like, well, like, I know everything that happened with the Bulls. Like, why they doing this documentary? I'm like, Dad, you know, but you're 63. Like, this happened 22 years ago. Like, I know I'm talking to my cousins, and they're, from L.A., they don't respect Mike the same way I respect Mike.
Right.
They think, like, the 90s was trash. They think, like, Mike was dope, but, like, the 90s was just trash. He wasn't really that good. And also, like, even when they think about Michael Jordan, they've probably only seen the last three-peat. Yep. Like, they haven't seen 91 Mike. I didn't even see 91 Mike until I went back and watched 91 Mike because I was born in the middle of Mike sweeping the Pistons. So, that's how long ago it was. Like, it's really been basically 30 years since this started.
Were you literally born in the middle of that series?
Yeah, I was born May 22nd, 1991. I was born in the middle of Michael Jordan sweeping the Pistons, like in the middle of the series.
That's dope.
I think it was like I think maybe they might have been up 3-0, or they might have won a game on my birthday or something like that. Like the finals hadn't started yet, but I was born in the middle of that series. So like even somebody like me, I don't even remember the start of the run. Like my first knowledge of the Bulls, I remember when they won 70 games because they won it against Milwaukee. So I just like remember for some weird reason, like my grandma saying, them boys won 70 games. And I remember it being Milwaukee. I remember when Alonzo wanted elbow Scottie Pippen, and he had the knot on his head because I remember my grandma yelling about that. I remember the flu game because I remember my grandma saying that boy sick as a dog.
Yep.
I remember for some reason I realized that I probably watched the first game of the '98 playoffs because for whatever reason I really rock with Kerry Kittles. Have no idea why I rock with Kerry Kittles, but I didn't know Kerry Kittles was guarding Mike in that game. He probably had a really good game. I was like, oh shit, Kerry Kittles is kind of cool. I rock with Kerry Kittles. Then I remember the last game because I don't even remember the shot. I remember I was playing NBA Live and Michael Jordan's Player 98 or Player 89 at that point in time.
Right.
Because they didn't have the rights. And I remember like I didn't watch the full game. I'm a kid, so I'm playing NBA Live. Like I'm beating the Jazz on my game. Like so I remember like I'm beating the Jazz on my game and I run upstairs like grandma, we won on my game. And then my grandma's like, yeah, I hope we win in real life. And I like walk back downstairs and like next thing I know, I'm like they just scream like, oh, he hit it. So it's like
you missed the shot?
I missed the shot, but I saw the but I missed the actual shot in real time.
Also, you were born between games 2 and 3 of the 1991 Eastern Conference Finals. You were born the day after game 2.
Exactly. So I was born in the middle, literally in the middle of them sweeping the Pistons. So I'm talking to my dad, and he's like, well, why are you doing this documentary? And I'm like, well, Dad, you know, but even like me, there's certain things I'm going to learn. I don't know. And then people younger than me, they have no idea. So I just think that it was just time for it. You know, I think that you're in 2020. It's been, 22? It's been 22 years since the man. Like, you got people wearing Jordans, literally whole kids wearing Jordans who know nothing about Michael Jordan.
Nothing about him. Gosh, that's amazing.
But like they knew nothing about Jordan.
Right. Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I thought there was a really revealing quote from the director Jason Hehir. I think I'm saying that wrong. Hehir. And I think it was in the Washington Post. Obviously, there were a ton of preview stories that have come out this week. I think this is one in the Washington Post. And he said something like, the footage is so crisp that like today's fans are going to see that Michael didn't play against plumbers. And he used that word, and I was fucking infuriated because that's a troll Twitter account, which I've and like a bunch of them pop up, and I've muted them. But that was that whoever. I mean, I assume it's a guy. I assume it's a guy.
It was like that account ended up like the account ended up getting banned on Twitter for whatever reason. But yeah, I remember when you were saying that you play.
Yeah, but he just keep making more. He just keep making more and more. You can't get rid of that guy.
And in his Twitter bio was Michael Jordan played against firemen or whatever and plumbers became the key word. And now you've got all these dickheads who just want to trash the person who they think is a threat to their person. And they're, Michael played against plumbers and blah, blah.
But who is that person? Sorry, guys. I'm back. I'm sorry.
Look at these plumbers.
But who is that person? LeBron?
Probably. But the point is that this is a troll account. Okay? I don't take it seriously. I mute it because I'm anti-troll because I don't like the idea of just being negative to just be negative and the idea of just like that you're just going to provoke people and that's your brand. Okay.
They say that's what they say we do.
All right, but I don't think you do that. But here's my point.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I just know I'm sometimes I feel like I have to be openly unbiased towards ourselves. So that's why when I hear statements like that, I will I like to point that out to the viewers out there and to whoever's watching it. So that way when our guests come on and they're like, I don't think that, you can hear a different opinion than just like assholes you see on Twitter who just like care because they love LeBron and they want to be a troll.
No.
You can continue.
No. You guys have some opinions that I disagree with. But you tend to be comprehensive. You tend to have a respect for the full history of the game. If you say something is your all-time list, it accounts for all time. Yeah. And you stand on what you say. All right, but here's my point.
I will say this. I do say all time, but anything before Martin Luther King got shot, I don't really count. I'm just making that known.
All right, but you still Wilt had yeah, okay. He didn't really have an MVP, so 68. All right, but anyways, we're getting off track. So here's the point. The director of the movie says, without irony, you'll be able to see that he didn't play against plumbers.
Plumbers, the director.
And this is a reaction to a troll Twitter account. So you have to wonder if that, at the very least, it's on the director's mind. This idea of this burden to show people what he was about.
Can I respectfully disagree with that after you finish your point?
Please go ahead.
I will say that I don't like that Barry McCocket or whatever the hell the name of that account is, whatever. I hate that account.
No, fuck him.
I literally
fuck him, and I'll swear because it's after midnight here.
I mean, I don't give a fuck, to be honest. My mom watches this sometimes, so I be trying to chill out because she be saying something she like watching, so I be like, all right, I'm trying to say fuck, but fuck that account. But anyways, it's not about that account. It's about the evolution of human beings, and I think when you look back at that era of human beings and kind of that was really like before
disagree with you.
Stop it. That was before like really like human beings were really at their peak kind of athletically. I think at this point we're probably at the peak that we'll ever be able to be athletically, like until we evolve into like another species or whatever. But I think our like who we are in terms of nutrition, what we've been able to do, how we've been able to build people this fast, is all the steroids that are in the the animals we consume and things of that sort. I don't think it'll ever be as drastic as it is now. I think it'll only get better in terms of like the stuff that we eat will be cleaner, and I think body mass will suffer because of that. But I think like when you look at like the 80s and the 90s and you look at the body mass of a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys are in shape, but the average guy in college now is on like a weight program that's way crazier than a lot of these guys were on back, way back then. They've been doing workouts and drills since they were, however years old, playing however many AAU games. Their bodies are just way, way more advanced than those guys were. So I think it's much beyond that account. It's really about just like looking back at those guys. I'm sure they were supreme athletes because you have to be supremely athletic to be a guy like Will that's 7 feet tall with a 40-inch vertical, and what he say, he can bench press 400 pounds. Like, you got to be a physical freak of nature to be able to do stuff like that. But that don't mean everybody around you got, that same ability. I think now a lot of even the more average guys have the ability to be able to go out and physically shape their bodies and be able to also learn things because they can watch stuff on the internet. So I think to a lot of these kids, they look at the game back then as like being like this rudimentary thing with like these old guys. It's like watching the old Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Like, you love Arnold Schwarzenegger. You think Arnold Schwarzenegger is amazing. In your mind as a kid, when he was blowing shit up and knocking people out of windows, it was like the wildest, craziest thing you've ever seen. But then when you go back and you rewatch an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, you realize like, damn, like a lot of this action look a little bit cheesy because CG got a little bit better. The movies got a little bit better. But so the product around Arnold got a little bit better. So it just makes Arnold doesn't look as... Oh, sorry, go ahead. No, but I'm just saying Arnold doesn't look as polished as he did before. But that doesn't mean that Arnold wasn't the shit when Arnold was the shit, if that makes sense.
I just want to respond to that because I think a lot of this is people don't understand how incredible Michael Jordan was. Like, if you drop Michael Jordan, whatever he was in the 90s, to the NBA today, he's still the single most athletic player in the league, probably. And maybe there's only 3 people who come close. 3 to 5 people who come close. Like, I just think a lot of kids just really don't realize how Michael Jordan will make a lot of people look like plumbers because he was just that good. Right. He was actually just that good. The same way LeBron makes people look like plumbers. Like, literally, Marcus Morris, a grown man on a fast break, grabbed his arms. LeBron James still went up, made the layup, and yelled in his face, "You look like a child."
Yeah, but he don't look like a plumber.
He looks like, but compared to LeBron, he looks like a child.
He don't look like 20 years. He don't look like no child. I've seen that man in person. He don't look like no goddamn child.
Listen.
I've seen that man in person. He don't look like no damn child. Stop it.
And look, and in 20 years, when a kid goes back and finds that exact same video and sees what LeBron James did to that man and how he's throwing grown men out the way because LeBron James is just LeBron James, they're gonna say the same exact thing about LeBron James. You played against plumbers.
I disagree with that because people don't say that about Shaq.
Huh?
People don't say that about Shaq.
Yes, they do. People talk
about.
Yes,
I've never heard anybody say Shaq played against plumbers.
Yes, we do. We say
Against
Shaq
Plumbers?
played against no sinners in the finals all the damn time. We have a whole content about we have whole
Shaq
discussions
played
about
for what,
we have
18
whole
years?
discussions. We have whole discussions about
That's
when
3
Shaq hit
hours.
his. Hold on. We have whole discussions about when Shaq hit his run. All the sinners were gone. Hakeem was gone. Ewan was gone. Robinson was old. It wasn't. He was
Tim
playing
Duncan
Tom
was
McCullough.
around. David Robinson was around. He was still playing.
He was
around,
36
but
years
He
old.
was still playing. What you mean? Didn't he play in the series in 2003 when they? I mean, didn't they lose to the Spurs? David Robinson played in that series, didn't he?
Yeah,
Thank you. Like he was still around.
So you had two centers. You had Tim Duncan.
Tim Duncan was still out there. What you mean?
Name me the others. You had Tim Duncan and you had David Robinson. He played Todd McCullough in the finals.
That's not his fault.
I love Rich Smith. I love Rich Smith. I think Rich Smith is a good basketball player. Rich Smith is not that. That ain't no Hakeem. He wasn't doing that shit on Hakeem.
Okay.
So we do say that about Shaq. The best center he faced in the finals probably Ben Wallace.
Here's the problem.
Ben Wallace is arguably one of the greatest defensive centers of all time. He has 4.
I agree with you.
So
that,
I'm just saying.
I agree with you, but Shaq wasn't also Shaq then. But Jack, go ahead.
Shaq was Shaq then.
The way that we, and I don't mean the three of us, but I mean more broadly, we as sports fans collectively, and typically with the larger media organizations that drive a lot of conversation, the way that we talk about who was great, who was not, is a lot of like, if you put this guy in a time machine and brought him over, there's a couple of things. First of all, there's a difference between better and greater.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And that is the heart of my Koozie Steph Curry conversation. And that can be for another. That can be for another. That's okay. That can be for another day.
You said Koozie better than Curry, right?
What was that?
Koozie better than Curry, right? That's what you said.
Koozie is greater than Curry. Curry is obviously quote unquote the better basketball player.
Man,
yeah, I agree
with
with
man
that.
Bob. Let me see. What year did Dr. Martin Luther King? Let me see. Bob Cousy.
No, Koozie is off your radar. He's pre.
Bob Cousy. I mean.
Yeah, he's bus boycott.
I mean, he
era.
played. Yeah, come on, man. He played since. Nah, I'm not rocking with that.
Okay.
I'm not rocking with that, G. I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know what they were saying back then when that man was playing basketball. I'm not rocking with that. Steph. I'm rocking with Steph for the culture.
Here's the other thing that we do that pisses me off. Or not that pisses me off, but I just think is a bad way to look at it. We're always trying to diminish the competition as a way to diminish the person. And there's almost no situation where you're going to beat a team that isn't in some way flawed, because that's how you beat them.
True.
So
yeah, but every team is inherently flawed, though.
Well, all right.
It's like playing chess. Like every player got a flaw, a tick, or whatever.
No. I did a parody post where I put an asterisk on every NBA champion.
Mm-hmm.
You can put no, Jack. You can literally put an asterisk on every single champion. And I started to realize it when I started to go back and watch like actual full broadcasts. For instance, even like the 91 Bulls team, right? Isaiah had wrist surgery. If you wanted to say like who knows what would have happened if Isaiah's wrist was healthy, you could say that.
But you could then say what if Magic didn't miss almost the entire 89 finals?
Yeah,
exactly.
What
if Isaiah didn't blow out his ankle in Game 6 in '88?
Yeah.
Exactly. But continue.
You can say, well, but those are the points. So you can look at 2015. You can look at all those Cavs Warriors finals and make excuses. You had Kyrie and Kevin Love were out. You had in 2016, you had Steph, who was battling back from injury. He had missed games that postseason. People talk about Draymond's suspension. It's whatever to me. But people bring that up. And then there's the idea, well, all right, then the Cavs, they always beat Golden State if they were healthy, and Golden State didn't have Kevin Durant. So you isolate down to 1 year. And now you've got people who say, well, the Raptors only won because Durant was out, and then because Klay got hurt. And, we say, well, Shaq, he wasn't doing that to prime Hakeem. And you say, like, well, MJ never got past the Pistons until Scotty was You can do this for everyone. And the fact is that there's a reason that some teams win and some teams don't. And part of the reason is that it takes a great deal of circumstance to be at a place where you feel like you are at your peak, where all your players are healthy and believe in the system and are getting along and are mature enough but not too old. You know, people try to be like, the Bulls didn't beat the Pistons until the Pistons were over the hill. The Pistons were younger in 1991 than the Bulls were in 1998.
Is it true?
So I think that we have to just stop trying to always cut down people by trying to cut down their competition. And that's where I get into this idea of greatness versus, like, okay, was Dwight Howard, is he better than Bill Russell? I don't know. I guess you could make the argument that he is.
No.
He's physically bigger. No, I know. I agree with you. But, he's physically bigger. You could look at that and go like, well, Dwight Howard would eat. Look, it doesn't do us anything valuable as people who want to understand sports to make those comparisons. It doesn't give us any like valuable information to sit here and say, for example, or here's a better example, to say that Klay Thompson is better than Elgin Baylor. Okay? That doesn't tell me anything worthwhile about Elgin Baylor's place at the time when he was playing.
Yes.
That doesn't give me any useful information.
True.
I 1000% agree with you. I'm all the way on board.
Yeah, so that's where I get, and that's where something like this documentary is valuable, because people should see what Jordan and the Bulls were about. I mean, they should see it in a way that makes them understand their drive, their talent, and shit. I mean, you can draw a direct line from the 70s Knicks to the 90s Bulls, and you can draw a direct line from the 90s Bulls to the 2010 Warriors. I mean, there's a direct line from Phil having been with the Knicks. Jerry Reinsdorf grew up in New York. He wanted a team that played like the Knicks. That was part of why he wanted Jerry Krause. And then Jerry Krause hired Tex Winter, and Tex Winter brought the triangle, which is how the Knicks, they didn't work out of the triangle, but they had that 5-point offense, the idea that everyone's an equal threat on the floor. And then you've got Steve Kerr, who played for the second three-peat Bulls and goes and coaches the Warriors and is going to bring the same mentality of being able to switch 1 through 5 or 1 through 4 and being able to be mutable, being able to have a lot of guys on the floor, interchangeable, multiple guys who can run the offense, multiple guys who can guard multiple positions. I mean, you can draw a line. So for me, as a fan, as a historian, as a researcher, I want to know kind of where everything came from. And we're going to run into a fucking buzzsaw of nonsense and shit talk as these 5 weeks go off. You better believe it. And people are going to use this as an opportunity to just sell the talking points that they already sell. You're going to have Jordan fans who are just going to be like, see, fucking, he was in the... And you're going to have all like the LeBron people who are going to say, look, Michael's fucking old, and oh yeah, what would LeBron do to Jeff Hornacek and Brian Russell? Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
He would do the same thing he did against Jose Juan Barea, a.k.a. JJ Barea, which is not a damn thing. Jeff Hornacek would have probably hit Bron with an elbow. He would have been like, caught a cramp or something like that. Come on, man.
But I also think with everything that we're talking about, I think that we, because of what we do, and I mean, obviously TPJ goes back and watches old games. I go back and watch old games. You write about basketball as well as go back and watch old games. I feel like we
when I watch old games,
care about the history of the game more than average people. Don't care about history in general with anything. True. They don't care about where things come from. They only care about where it is now and where it could possibly go, and basically ignore everything that came before with everything in life.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of teeter more on that edge, which is why we have this show, because I'm more about evolution. I'm more about what have you done for me lately? What are you doing right now? What are you doing?
Yes, but you'll still go back and watch. Yeah, but you'll still go back and like at least watch it. A lot of people won't go back and watch a full game, but we'll have a comment on it.
You want to know the reason why I go back and watch old games? Because I don't know the score. So sometimes I'll just go back and just look up like Michael Jordan full game, or like Tracy McGrady full game, or Kobe Bryant full game. And it'll turn on and it'll bring up some random game from like March 25th, 1997, Bulls versus Suns, in Phoenix. And I'll be like, I'll watch this because I don't know who wins. Like that's always why I go back and watch old games. I never really watch them to go back and be like, I want to see Mike drop 60 on the Celtics. Like I don't.
I mean, but that's still like watching history though. Like you going back and you picking up things that somebody might not do. Like obviously, if you watching that game, you're not just looking at Michael Jordan. You looking at fucking Jason Kidd might be on that team, or Penny Hardaway after he got traded. How did he play that day? So It's like a lot of people don't care about history, and we just happen to be some of the people who legit care about history. Why
I'll put it this way. I'm gonna just say this, and excuse me for being a contrarian, but I just disagree with that because from a programming perspective, from how I program my life, like in terms of my viewing experiences, when it's late at night and I don't want to like pay attention to a game, because a lot of times when I'm watching NBA games, I'm doing other stuff, but I'm still watching the game. And then like I'll actually sit down for a minute and watch the key moments in certain games. But usually I'm like watching and doing something else. When I turn on old games, I'm turning them on because I'm not going to turn on a game that was from last week or 5 years ago. I remember that game. I was probably watching games that night. I turn on old games because I don't necessarily remember I wasn't an active participant in it. So it's almost like it's a live game to me, if that makes sense. Like if the NBA literally just programmed a channel with all old games and they made it with the same lineups that they were back then, but they had them like programmed where like you can go back in every game of the year. You could watch like what the schedule was in the 70s and what it was in the whatever. I would do that because I don't know who wins those games ever, you know what I mean, on a night in, night out basis. I don't just watch them.
Well, you're going to get your wish because we're not going to have sports until like 2021. So you're about to see that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I don't just sit and I don't just watch old games because I want to see players' moves or because I want to know who the ninth man on the Vancouver Grizzlies. I don't care. I just want to fake see a real game that's happening right now. So I turn on an old game to do that. So whether you talking about
but it's like what Pavy said. You're doing that anyways. So it doesn't make a difference if I sit down to watch old games because I want to I want to learn what was Dr. J like in the ABA. And so I'll like turn on, I'll look at his game log and I'll be like, okay, this is a monster game. I'm going to watch this. This is an ABA Finals clincher game. I'm going to watch this. It doesn't make a difference if I'm doing it for that reason and you're doing it for the reason of the pure entertainment, because literally what you're doing is you're experiencing history in the same way that you experience present tense, except you're just doing it after the fact. The reason that we're able to talk, or I'm able to talk, about the 90s Bulls is partially because I sat there and watched it as it happened. The reason your show is so good, that the two of you do such a great job, is because you sit there and you watch the games. So it doesn't make a difference if you're trying to do it for historical purposes, if you're trying to do it for entertainment purposes, you're still soaking up the information. I went and tried to watch some ABA doc games, and I came away wowed by this like sort of rotund, maybe 6'6" small forward named Super John Williamson, who was like smoking everybody. He had this sick mid-range game. He's kind of like if like Khalid El-Amin was like a little bit taller and was a two guard, but was like better. I was just like, who is this guy? And then I went into like the sports fan group that I'm on Facebook, and I was like, hey, who are the older heads? Who can tell me about Super John Williamson? Why is he killing guys? I tried to watch this ABA doc game. Like, it doesn't matter the reason that you do it. It just matters that you do it, and you start absorbing the history and getting an appreciation for something that you wouldn't otherwise know. It gives you context to understand what it is that you're looking at today. And then when you see Giannis doing what he's doing, then you have some frame of reference for why that's impressive.
Yeah, but I feel like that's also part of the reason why I make the arguments that I make when we talk about those better arguments. And even with the greater arguments, from that perspective, yeah, like I am going back and I'm watching the games, and I'm seeing them from that perspective. But like when you think about like seeing a Giannis or versus like some of these older guys, I've watched some of these games with a lot of these older guys. I've watched a lot of these 80s games, these 90s games. And I usually, when I'm looking at the game, I'm thinking about how all the players of today would exploit everything that is wrong with those players' attributes back then versus now. Even when I look back at old, I mean, it might be the wrong way, but that's just how I look at it, though. When I look at the game, when I'm watching 80s games, I'm like, yo, Steph Curry would be annihilating them right now. Like he would be annihilating them right now.
See, honestly, I look at it opposite
what's Steph
though.
Curry's biggest shot?
Any shot that you want to, any shot that you want to take beyond 8 feet.
City shot.
The Oklahoma City shot. Yeah, exactly. So we're talking about a regular season shot
biggest
for
shot?
a guy who's the only unanimous MVP in NBA history. He's got 2 MVPs. He's been in 5 finals.
Yeah, but is basketball about moments though? But do you determine who's better off moments?
Arguably the greatest shooter of all time, and his biggest shot is a fucking regular season game.
Yeah, but do you determine who's better off of moments, or do you determine who's better off of what they're accomplishing and what they're doing?
I'm talking about what they're accomplishing. He is, I think, 0 for 10 lifetime in game-winning or tying playoff shots with whatever it is, like under 24 seconds.
But what about the 48 minutes before that, though? That's the other part about it that I don't like. Because, that's the other part that, like, watching those old games give me an appreciation for guys like Michael Jordan and the Sidney Moncriefs and those guys, is that I got an opportunity to be able to see them play. Like when I watch a lot of old games, especially old Jordan games, when he goes off the floor, I fast forward in the game. Like I don't need to see what the bench is doing. Like sometimes, I mean, you know what I mean? And then I forward it, like I really don't care. Like usually a lot of the 90s basketball, when the star player leaves the court, they score like 8 points and then that's it for like 12 minutes. I can't watch that. I'm sorry. It's terrible basketball.
Had a lot of problems.
It's terrible basketball. It is terrible basketball to watch. 80s and 90s basketball is terrible. Well, actually, you know what? Late 80s and mid 80s basketball is good to watch. But 90s basketball is terrible to watch. I watch a lot of 90s basketball. It is terrible to watch. It's just a sluggish game. And that's another problem with how we
talk, okay? Because there's no such thing as 80s and 90s basketball.
Okay, let's get it.
Because that's just what people say now when timelines are compressed.
But I'm watching it, though. I'm seeing it. It's a different style of basketball. It's a completely different style of basketball.
No, but at the time, 90s basketball was held up as everything wrong with the sport. It's not the 80s. In the 1990s, when it was actually happening, all you heard about was like, where's the free-flowing movement from the 80s? What is all this isolation game? What is this two-man game? What is this like rough and tumble game? Look at what Pat Riley has done to the game. Look at what Chuck Daly has done to the game. You know, what is all this? They're moving the three-point line up and down. And
yeah, because they want to generate offense. Because in the 80s, you were getting offense. In the 90s, it came to a halt because it was just so many athletically big guys out there. The point. And you can do anything.
But that's the point. So you just characterized the very, very different ways in which the 80s game was versus the 90s game. But now people are so quick to say, oh, the 80s, 90s game.
Yeah, but I don't think the 90s had better shooters than the 80s. I think the 80s had better shooters of the basketball than the guys in the 90s. I really
that's
do.
Exactly what I'm. But that's what I'm saying. You have to go back and watch things to understand the difference between those eras. Otherwise, you compress it and you just say like. I know,
but this is what I'm saying. I'm watching those games, but usually when I'm watching those games, that whether I'm looking at it from a pure, because I'm an entertainer and I like entertainment. I look at sports more for the entertainment value. Go get more drink because I got more drink right here, and unless y'all want to hop off, I'm cool talking basketball and arguing about this shit. But
I'm down to 1 sip and 27% on the computer, so I am close to tapped. Okay,
well, cool. But all I'm saying is that I look at sports more for entertainment value. I'm a sports head. I like sports, but I also look at it for the entertainment value. When I look at a lot of the 90s basketball, I'm looking at the basketball, but I'm also looking at the entertainment value of it. And the reason why people complain about the 90s versus the 80s is because the entertainment value and because the skills of the players in the 90s were just it was just a different set of skills than the guys had in the 80s. It was a slog, but the skills of those players was a lot different. That's all I'm saying is that the skills are just so different. Go ahead.
I actually like 90s basketball way more than 80s basketball. I like isolation basketball.
I hate that.
So I actually like 90s basketball. 80s basketball, I think the spacing was I actually like 70s basketball more than 80s basketball. For some weird reason, I think the 70s had better spacing than the 80s. Even like the Lakers Celtics finals are not good basketball to watch to me. Everybody's jumbled up together. They would like run post-ups from like the free throw line. I don't understand it. Like it wasn't good basketball to watch to me. I like 90s basketball, actually 70s basketball more than 80s basketball. I don't really like 80s basketball. It's not
I like
great
70s
to me,
basketball.
especially when it comes to like Lakers, where people are held up as like the holy grail of basketball. I don't like watching it. I like the bad boy Pistons. I think the bad boy Pistons played a solid basketball. I actually like watching it. They spaced the court. They had shooters. I enjoyed it. But for me, when I watch like a lot of old basketball, I think about, man, if he played now, he would have so much more room. Like, I actually think about it backwards. Like, I actually can see what a player did, and I'd be like, yes, it's like I might be like, man, like, yo, if he was doing, or like, I'll watch a game for early 2000s, like T-Mac, like, okay, like, man, he was doing this with no room on the court. Right. Or like Bird, like, man, he would shoot that three now, and they would have no issue with him shooting that, or like, it would be so much more room on the court, or like Isaiah Thomas, like, yo, he wasn't even allowed to dribble like that. Like, he would just be isoing people and like taking people out of dribble, and nobody could help.
Yeah, but I disagree with that, because I think the defenses would be different. Like, that's what I be looking at.
Yeah, but I actually look at things backwards, actually. Like, because again, I don't think that the players in the past couldn't play. I just think that they played the way the game was played at that point in time. I don't think that meant that they couldn't play basketball. And same thing when I like go back then, like if you reverse players back in time, they not doing the same thing. Steph Curry ain't pulling up from 40 feet in 1982. They gonna sit him on the bench.
Yeah, but he can shoot from anywhere on the floor, though. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but listen,
he can shoot from anywhere on the floor.
Listen. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be good. I'm just saying the Steph Curry you get right now, you wouldn't get in 1982. Great players are gonna be great players regardless because they're fucking great. You can put a great player on Mars and he gonna figure it out because he's great, but the greatness not gonna look the same.
It's not gonna look the same. No, that's really well put. And I think that that's a really important idea. The idea of looking both backwards and forwards and doing these translations and just imagining what someone would be like in this era or that era. But to me, there's a difference between being a great athlete and being a great basketball player. There's a difference between being a great athlete and being a great baseball player, a great football player. All these sports have intricacies, and just because you're on a better nutritional plan and a better weight training plan and your sleep schedule is better and you're getting massages
and you got it's not even that. I mean, think about the level of skill. Think about the level of skill and the training that these guys have. I look at a lot of 80s and 90s basketball, and a lot of guys can't dribble with their offhand. Most of these guys nowadays can go usually in both directions with either hand.
Yeah, but a lot of these guys have terrible basketball IQ. So, like, you can do all these moves, but, like, your mental game ain't there.
Yeah, but when I'm watching the 90s Bull or early 90s Bulls games, when they playing the Miami Heat or when they playing the Knicks, in them games, and Pat Riley is running full court presses the entire game because Craig Hodges can't dribble the ball past the goddamn logo. Like, that's what I'm talking about. So, I'm not looking at the game today and thinking, yo, he gonna get like literally when Rondo pickpocketed Lonzo, everybody was like, yo, Lonzo, what's going on? Back then, they running full court presses. This man, Craig Hodges, can't dribble at all. Couldn't move with the other hand at all. He getting the ball, taking two dribbles, throwing it to Mike, throwing it to Scotty. He like throwing it up court. Like, that's what I'm saying.
You still got a lot of people who handle like ain't the craziest, but I feel you.
I mean,
they just don't get pressed full court.
Yeah, I think we also it's not just skill. And it's not just athleticism, it's both of them. And I think that, these guys are on good nutritional plans, but also these guys are extremely skilled. A lot of these guys can do things that a lot of these guys can do. I think the reason why a lot of those guys in the past,
I just think that like a lot of the rules prohibited. For instance, like the first game that Isaiah Thomas, when he was on Knuckleheads podcast, right? He said he came and played the Bulls. He was like, man, back in my day, if you did all that between the legs dribbling, they was gonna knock you out when you got to the rim.
Right.
That don't mean Isaiah Thomas couldn't do the moves. I mean, I don't want to get tackled when I get to the rim because we not doing that. That don't mean he wasn't skilled. It just mean that's not what, like, for instance, Larry Bird. That don't mean he couldn't shoot because he was shooting 2 threes a game. Nah, that's just not what they did.
Who said that he couldn't shoot?
I'm just saying, like, people will, like, if you talk about greatest shooters, I think some people were like, oh, well, this guy shoots so much better than this guy because he takes more threes. Or people think people shoot better today than they did in the past. But I don't think they do. I think they just shoot more threes. I don't think they shoot better. I can say they shoot more. I don't think more equates to better.
I think Steph Curry shoots better, regardless.
Okay.
I think Klay Thompson shoots better. I think James Harden shoots better.
I don't think Harden's a great shooter. I think Harden's a good shooter.
I disagree.
I don't think Harden's a great shooter. I think Harden's a good shooter. I think he takes 20 fucking threes a game.
I disagree.
So he shoots 37%. I think Larry Bird just as good a shooter as James Harden. I think Larry Bird is one of the best shooters in NBA history.
I do too.
I think Reggie Miller is one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. He was shooting 42% in the 90s when you could grab people and hold people off ball with 6 threes a game.
Mike shot better than him in the mid range though for the 90s though. I just want to say that for the 90s in the mid range.
Bird status and it speaks to this idea of skill versus just strictly training or athleticism. Larry Bird, 6'9", small forward, playing in the days of true centers, true power forwards. Played 13 years, and he averaged 10 boards a game for 13 years.
Crazy, but I also think Bird was more of a power forward than when he was a small forward. But that's
that's all right. But I'm just saying.
But yes, I agree with you.
So to me, when you look at, say, like a Bird versus Durant argument, and you completely discount what Bird could bring to the table, I think it just does the game a disservice.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's discounted what Bird brings to the table, but I mean, I think, but also I'm not one of those people that just automatically think that Kevin Durant is better than Larry Bird. I actually think that Larry Bird is better than Kevin Durant. I think Larry Bird was a much better rebounder, a much better passer. Kevin Durant is a much better defender than Larry Bird. But if we're looking at who won, who was MVP, who came up bigger when you needed him, usually. Who had a good run when he was young and in the middle of his career is Larry Bird. I think Kevin Durant, the only way Kevin Durant could have caught Larry Bird was if he would have stayed with Steph Curry, but he left Steph Curry to go hang out with his friends, and I'm not upset with him, but yeah.
Fellas, this has been a good time.
For sure.
I'm gonna take my last drink here on Hoops and Brews.
For sure. Thank you. Right. Go ahead, man. We appreciate it. We will get up with you next time, man. Thanks a ton for coming through, talking Bulls with us, arguing basketball with us. We appreciate it. And thank you, man. Keep providing us with the history. Keep reporting on the game. Please make sure you drop your website again and your Twitter handle so that way everybody can follow you. And then we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
Definitely. Well, everybody should check me out on Twitter @ReadJack, and I am working on the book 6 Rings, and you could be up on my research, my interviews. Sign up at readjack.substack.com for the newsletter. I drop one newsletter a week for the paid subscribers and one for the free ones, and the free ones are better than what a lot of people bring with the paid. So get at it, readjack.substack.com. Really appreciate you guys having me on. Really appreciate what you guys bring to the landscape. It's really important, and I really appreciate it.
Hey man, keep doing what you do because we need people like you to keep doing it. Hopefully one day, we'll have other kids that will see stuff like this and think, man, I want to become a historian of the game and follow the game and really get to know the insides and outs of the game. Thank you for doing it. We appreciate you, dude. You have a good night. Be safe. Stay healthy.
Right. You too, guys.
All righty.
Bye.
Alrighty, folks. So that has been Hoops and Brews, episode number 1. What is this? Episode number 188. Hoops and Brews, episode number 188. Yeah, man. How you feeling?
Who, me?
Yeah. Any final words? I guess this is our episode that's going up for the weekend.
Feel great. I'm excited about tomorrow to see the documentary. I'm in the 2K, right?
Yeah.
I'm in the playoffs on 2K. My fucking starting point guard has spinal injury out for the year in a contract year.
You got a what? Whoa.
Spinal injury. He's done for the season.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, so I might play a game of 2K, see what I can do, maybe make some music tonight, but I'm tired as hell. I'm probably eventually end up going to sleep at some point. But I feel great, man. I'm excited to see the Bulls documentary tomorrow. And yeah, man, shout out to all the fans who've been watching stuff and supporting us, even though there's no basketball on it. We kind of just, everybody's freelancing with topics right now. So shout out to all of y'all. We thoroughly appreciate it. And, hopefully there's more sports to talk about sooner than later in a safe manner.
Yep. Yeah. And also to the person that said, Craig Hodges shot 49% for the year. I didn't ask you his shooting percentages. What I said was I was watching games where they were running a full court press and he couldn't dribble the ball up the goddamn court.
Yeah, but Craig Hodges should have been playing point guard, though. Like, Craig Hodges wasn't a point guard.
That's not what I want to watch,
when they ran Mike at point guard, that's when they had the most success that season.
But it's not an attractive product to watch, and which is my point. And
just put Mike at point guard and stick Craig Hodges in the corner. And when they double him, pass the ball to Craig Hodges because you can't leave him.
I know.
Like what Doug Collins actually did in that season.
When did you hear me say that don't make good basketball sense?
What?
I said it wasn't attractive to watch. I didn't say it don't make good basketball sense. It makes basketball sense, but it's not attractive to watch.
I know what you said,
it's
but
not
what I'm
attractive
saying
to watch.
is that's Doug Collins' fault. Why the fuck Craig Hodges dribbling the goddamn ball? Here, Mike.
No, that's Craig what I'm talking about. A lot. It's not just about young guys disrespecting these old guys. It's just a different level of skill in the game now. And although they can say, "Oh, it's soft now," and all this whoop whoop, it's like a lot of these guys, the level of skill that these guys have, I don't think a lot of those older guys will be able to, to hold up right now. I think the greatest of the great players, like the Elgin Baylors, the Bill Russells, the Bob Cousies, or whatever, they would still be really good all-star level players today. But I'm not looking at them in the regular random 9th guy, 8th guy, 6th guy, 7th guy, 5th guy on the roster.
The regular 9th guy could go back in any era and still play basketball either. Like, I don't think the regular 10th power forward on the roster who don't have a post-up move no more because they don't use it can go play in the 90s.
It depends. What are you asking them to do? Because that guy might also be a great mid-range shooter, but they can't use it in today's game because they want them to stretch out to the 3.
Yeah, but if you don't have a post-up...
They have that skill, though.
Yeah, but if you don't have a post-up game, like they were banging more back then. Or, like, let's say you somebody who's good with the ball, but they never really want you to handle the ball like that because you're a bigger guy or something like that.
I'm as strong and I'm faster.
I don't necessarily know if all these guys are faster or stronger. I mean, even like Klay Thompson's dad made an argument that like the biceps on some of these guys are not the same as it was back then. Klay Thompson's dad said that.
Yeah, because they're more skilled now.
You said stronger though.
Huh? Yeah,
you said stronger.
Bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, not every single guy, but this is what I'm saying. Even if that but this is what I'm saying. Even if the random guy is not as big, stronger, faster, the level of skill is going to be completely way on another stratosphere because these guys are just supremely way more skilled. They've played a lot more basketball. They have a lot more basketball played underneath them than a lot of those guys did back then. A lot more dribbling drills, dribbling execution, scoring, and things of those sorts. And I'm sorry, there ain't no disrespect.
I think the level of skill for the time is, but I think that everything that you do don't translate to every time. I don't think in a sport everything that you do translates to every single time of the sport because rules are different, things are different. But yes, these guys are incredibly skilled athletes. I mean, like, they come out with footwork at 16 because they got trainers. But then there's a pros and cons to everything. Like, you working in the gym with trainers, you not going outside just playing basketball and getting your basketball instincts right. So it's pros and cons to everything. Like, yeah, you in the thing doing drills all day, but you ain't really just like going to the playground and just playing basketball and just like getting the feel for the game the same way other people are. But you look great in the workout though. Like a workout, you look like motherfucking Jordan. You go on the court when you actually got to make real decisions in real time, and you like, oh, okay.
That's funny. Yeah, I feel you. But anyways, man, excited to talk about Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance. The Bulls documentary. After kind of we get through the first 2 episodes and see exactly what it's gonna be. I'm sure we'll get back to you sometime early. Within a week with the new Hoops and Brews. Shout out to Jack for coming through. Appreciate him. Appreciate all of the guys that want to be sports historians. Learn the game. Be like Jack and say, no, this is not the way you got to look at it because history dictates things differently. I don't care how big we get. We could be on ABC, goddammit. These hot takes ain't gonna never stop flying. They never gonna stop flying. Dr. J can look me in my face and be like, I'm better than LeBron James. I'm like, Dr. J.
I didn't know Dr. J shot the ball until I actually watched Dr. J. I was talking to my dad. I'm like, yo, I didn't know Dr. J. I had never seen Dr. J shoot a jump shot ever. Yeah. I started watching Dr. J. I'm like, oh, damn, this motherfucker actually really did shoot the damn basketball. I'd never seen this shit before.
Yeah. He takes
shot that I just shot ugly as hell.
Worthy, too. Worthy took jumpers. Is just like...
Worthy took very few jumpers.
No, he took jumpers. He just usually missed them. That was so when you look back, you like, man, he never because they went in the highlights, because he was clanking them up.
Worthy also really took very few jumpers, though. Very few jumpers.
Not that few in them playoffs games, but if you ever go back and watch some of them old regular season Lakers games when it's just like when they just playing a random team B whatever, and they Magic out there dipsy doodling and Worthy.
See, I'm gonna like keep it G with you. I don't enjoy watching Showtime Lakers. I really don't. Like the Lakers. After Kareem retired and once they got like a little bit more like modern, like 89, 90, 91 Lakers, I fuck with. Showtime Lakers, I don't like it, bro. They had like 9 bigs on it. Literally, it was one play. They set up a post play. Bob McAdoo set up the play for Kareem. What are you doing, G? From the free throw line.
But that's what
I don't want to watch this.
But that's what I'm talking about.
But you like 80s. I don't like 80s.
Yeah, but I didn't say that I like the 80s Lakers.
Fair.
I'm gonna say I like 80s basketball. I like 80s basketball. I'm not watching a lot of 80s Lakers. No offense, and it's nothing personal. I actually like watching the Lakers play other teams, but also like I said, it just felt like the game flowed a lot faster in the 80s. But
up and down.
Yeah, I mean that's just how I feel about it. But yeah, man. Yeah, I guess that's it, man. It's Hoops and Brews, man. Hopefully Michael Jordan. I really would love to see the opening shot of the movie, The Last Dance. What if I told you a team, the best team in NBA history, was told that they could never repeat again? Opening shot.
What the opening shot's gonna
opening shot. This Mike right now with his he got tequila, right? Mike got his tequila. He's sitting there. He like, looking back, it was crazy. I'm not gonna say I was perfect. But I'm not gonna say I was imperfect either. And then boom, it's gonna be The Last Dance. I'm not gonna say I was perfect, but I'm not gonna say I was imperfect either. I guarantee you, Mike gonna be telling the most. I was wrong, but I was not wrong. And we gonna be like, Mike, you punched that man in the face. Gee, how was you right?
He wasn't wrong. He had to do what he had to do. They won, right?
And look at Mike.
As long as they won, he not wrong. Be like,
I was trying to motivate him because I knew once we got to that game 6, and I was gonna need him, and I was gonna look at him and say, Steve, you don't make this shot, I'm gonna punch you in the face. And I needed him to actually believe that I was crazy enough that I will punch him in the face. And Steve's gonna be like, to be honest, I won't lie, I've never said this before. Michael looked at me when he punched me in the face before, and he said, I'm sorry, but you're going to remember that one day in the game 6 in the playoffs. Game 6 in the playoffs came. He passed me the ball. He said, you make that shit, Steve. I'm going to punch you in the face. So I made it. And then we're going to be like, God damn, man, this man Jordan is crazy.
As long as they won, he not wrong.
And Phil's going to be like, I told all of the guys that I thought that they needed to take some more melatonin. I thought that guys needed to get a little bit more sleep. And then Robin's gonna be like, I love Michael. Michael's my favorite, but Michael never want to talk to me. Like we talked on the court, but I come to Michael after the game. Michael never want to talk to me. Michael never want to talk to me, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And Bill Wennington gonna be like, I had a burger. They sold it at McDonald's. Will Purdue gonna be like, I respect the check. Thank you.
Will Purdue not on there.
He not go. Oh yeah, he not gonna be on there.
He went on there.
No. He not.
First team. He was on the first team.
No. But it's not just about that whole last year. They chronicling the whole thing leading up to the last year.
I thought it was chronicling the Last Dance, bro.
No, bro. They chronicling the whole thing up until the last year. So like it's told through like Mike's story of like Mike. So it's literally like they said Michael Jordan mom like reading letters from him from when he was in college and shit in a documentary. So literally you see like the full Bulls dynasty run up until literally the last year. But basically the documentary is surrounded by like the premise of like that, you know, that this team is never going to play again after this. So then it's going to be like, let's rewind. And then they're going to take you back to the beginning of like how all of it happened and built up and got to that and made it there. So it's not just like about the last year. It's about like all the totality of all of it. I don't believe it's just about the because literally I was watching like Good Morning America clips with Diane Roberts, I think that's her name, and Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan was talking about like when they covered his college experiences when he was coming up and growing up and going to college, and how like there's a part in the documentary about after he made the shot in college, he went from being Mike Jordan to Michael Jordan, and like how he went to the Bulls. So like it's not just gonna be about the last year. I think it talks about the whole run as a whole, kind of leading up to that point. So I'm interested to see all of it. all of it.
I haven't watched any content of it. I just want to experience it in its full entirety.
I haven't either. I just watched like a couple interviews. I
didn't even watch that. I don't want to see shit.
Anytime Mike talks, I want to listen to what Mike has to say, especially these days. Like I feel the same way about Kobe. Like I was the same way with Kobe, where I was like, yo, I gotta really like tap into Kobe. And then before I knew it.
No, Mike's not. I'm sorry. Mike's not. I'm sorry. Mike's not as inquisitive as Kobe.
I disagree with that. I just think Mike is
Mike doesn't
stern.
lend his knowledge at like when Kobe said we're different. They are really different human beings. Mike is the legit maniac. I really think Kobe's a very nice guy. I actually think Michael Jordan is dead ass a maniac. I think Kobe was actually a really, really nice guy who just on the basketball court flipped the switch and became his personality. I think he just had I'm going to be great at whatever I do personally. I legit think Michael Jordan's an actual maniac.
That's funny.
I think he's literally a maniac.
That's funny.
Like, even when Kobe said, I'm competitive at things I know I'm good at. I think Mike is competitive at everything.
I am too.
Even
I
if
feel
he's
him.
not good at it.
Literally, LeBron.
I'm competitive at things I know I'm good at. When I'm good at it,
let's make it happen. You and your high school teammates versus me and the homies. Pavy, you gonna play?
You
playing, Pavy? Are you playing?
I don't play. They gonna beat our ass.
Nah, you gonna be hell no. You on a six? You 6 man. You ain't playing. I don't want nobody on my team. I don't want nobody on my team that say that we gonna lose.
Again, I am competitive.
I only want you on my team if you know we gonna win.
I'm good at it.
If you think we're going to lose, I don't want you on my team. If you think we're going to lose, I don't want you on my team.
I am competitive with things I know I'm good at. So when we talking about rapping, I'm competitive because I think I'm a pretty good rapper. So when it comes to that, I am competitive.
Don't.
So when it comes
to that,
what
I'm talking about? I'm talking about that broad meme. When he like in the studio where he's like, don't.
Yeah.
Yo, I just want to say that 2 Chainz album will forever be remembered because of that meme, by the way. But also that album was fire, by the way. So hopefully some kids see that meme and be like, what's that meme from? And go back and listen to the album because that album, I love the album. My bad.
But yeah, I'm competitive with things I know I'm good at. If I'm not good at it, I'm not competitive.
That's funny as hell.
So, yeah, I think Mike's competitive at everything. I think Kobe is like, yeah, I'm good at this, so I'm competitive with it. Like when Kobe said, I like to engage in conversations that I know I can win. Me as fuck. I like to engage in conversations. I have a high percentage of winning. If I can't win that shit, okay.
Yeah, but I think about winning every conversation. Jordan Drive. Let's get it. We in this bitch. Let's get it.
Jordan Drive.
Jordan Drive. Actually, that's gonna be the name of this episode. Jordan Drive. I'm gonna put Michael Jordan face on the cover of what's a fam name? From the movie Drive. From the movie Drive. I'm gonna put Jordan face on the dude from the movie Drive.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That movie was terrible, by the way.
That movie was not terrible. Go back and rewatch it.
It probably would be decent to me now.
We was in the theater. We went to the theater. It was like me, you, Joe, Lotto. Yes, G. It was like me, you, Joe, Lotto, Scott, and like Kendall or somebody there. G. The movie was so slow in the beginning. They was talking the whole time during the movie. They had their phones out. They was recording. I'm like, bro, stop, G. I'm trying to watch this movie. And then literally, two of them was like, yo, we finna leave. We finna go to another movie theater. They left. Then, like right when they was about to leave, he's like smashed homie head in the elevator like a like a watermelon or a pumpkin. They was like, oh shit! And they came back and said, what the fuck? Oh shit! That movie was. I will never forget that movie because that shit was funny as hell. Like, oh shit!
I know I went to see it, but yeah, that's what I might do. I might actually. No, I'm not gonna watch it.
That was right before I left Chicago too. That's funny as hell.
Might watch a movie. Sorry. Might watch a 90s action movie.
The 90s. I was trying to watch a Schwarzenegger movie the other day, and that's why I was like,
I don't mind Schwarzenegger movies.
They shot somebody, and it was like, ugh. And my girl was like, see, this shit is fake. I'm like,
the reason why I don't mind Schwarzenegger movies or like 90s movies is like, yes, that shit is, but at the same time, he did a lot of the times. So it's like, it's a trade off. Like, niggas was doing that shit.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, they put a wire on this nigga and drug this nigga back when he got blown up, but like you did your own stunts. Like a nigga grabbed you with that wire and you did this. So it's like, I can live with that. Just a trade off.
That's funny as hell. That's goddamn hilarious. I feel you though. I'm not upset at that logic. I mean, it makes sense. It does, because even when I see movies, sometimes I'm like, I know he wasn't really there, but also it's kind of like,
I know that nigga ain't.
But also, I will say this: I was watching Rush Hour 2 before we did Hoops and Brews with my girl, and literally Jackie Chan was on the side of that building with the bamboo shit, and he's twirling and whirling off this building, and all of these stunt people are climbing. I'm like, yo, I know he was probably literally a couple 100 feet in the air with a bunch of cardboard boxes stacked on top of each other to catch them if they fail on this thing, hoping, because I was looking, I'm like, I don't even see how you put a wire on this man, because he like literally fighting on these like structure that's almost like scaffolding.
Pass out before you hit them boxes though, like when you probably die of shock.
No, not from that far. You gotta
dying of shock a real thing?
Yeah, when you from.
I don't want to find out.
I mean, I'm sure some people do, but I'm just saying, I'm sure from that high up, it's like, whoa, you know what I mean?
100 feet, pretty fucking high, bro.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it is.
They put more than cardboard boxes down. Relax.
No, dead ass. Go. No. Look, you don't really respect Jackie Chan,
they
bro.
Probably.
No, actually, is there a Jackie Chan documentary?
Like a bed or some shit, bro.
Nah, G. Literally, it would be beds and cardboard boxes.
Yeah, they probably put a bed down another cardboard box. That's unhazardous, my nigga.
Oh shit, Jackie Chan got a documentary on Amazon Prime. Let's see. Damn, okay. But no, I really want to see like Jackie Chan's like story. I would love to see a documentary on him, because now literally he used to, like his stunts are crazy, bro. Literally, when you get off this, Google Jackie Chan stunts, and you're gonna see like cardboard boxes.
Do that, but I feel you.
Let me see.
I'm not gonna do that, but I feel you. I'm smooth about to play that One Division song on repeat for 2 hours.
This man hung off a helicopter? Come on, G. What? This man's wild. Wild. What? Ain't no way in hell, bro. I'm not hanging off I'm not hanging off the side of a building for the love or for a movie. This man Tom Cruise learning how to fly planes and shit for movies. I'm cool on that, fam. I'm cool on that one, fam. I'm dead ass cool on that one. But anyways, man, it's been Hoops and Brews, your boy TPJ. Find me on Twitter, Instagram at RealTPJ. Once again, thank you to our special guest, Jack, for coming through. Appreciate you, man. And yeah, man, enjoy the last dance. Finally we get something that's new that we can all kind of get together and talk about that we all haven't seen for a while. Some basketball content. But yeah, man, until next time, it's your boy TPJ. As always, if you're over 21, drink responsibly. If you're under 21, under the ages of 18, do not drink, and make sure you do not drink and drive. Always drink responsibly. And thank you guys. Follow us at Hoops and Brews. As always, your boy TPJ. Pavy, go ahead.
Follow me on Twitter at Pavy, word Pavy, word, all one word.
All righty, peace out.
All right, bro. I'll let you.